had Gene Roddenberry still with us, so and he was always available to ask questions, and he was, you know, he gave us just a huge reign to do whatever we wanted and make this ours.
Thank you.
So it worked out. Yes, I think there was a yes.
Yes, going the other direction, the episode's debatable. Was that a surprise, or was there a long story arc thing that's the end of the arc?
Tell me,
On the Skin of Evil?
on the Skin of Evil? Oh,
Well, did you know ahead of time, or did they discuss this?
no. What precipitated that was, so towards the about, you know, the 2/3 of the season had gone by. And again, the first season of The Next Gen, the writing was not great. There was some good writing. There was a lot of like shaky writing. And if you go back and look at that first season, I mean, some of those episodes, you know, are just like, what were they thinking? My favorite one is like Code of Honor,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
It's just, wow, how did that thing get on the air? I just don't think anybody was paying attention. But so, you know, and that's forgivable. I mean, it takes some time. It's very hard to write for Star Trek, as you know, and that's going to be the make or break thing if they're going to make a new series. I mean, they've got to get, you know, somebody like a Michael Piller. We've got to find a new Michael Piller to come in and really understand this concept. So I was getting very frustrated and very worried that, you know, I'm going to be on the bridge having absolutely nothing to say except once in a while saying, aye, aye, Captain. And that's okay for like one show. But I was under the impression that there were going to be multiple storylines going. We have a big cast. And so I started asking questions to the writers. They didn't really want us talking to the writers too much. And I had to kind of make a decision. Is this what I dreamed of? Is this what I wanted to do as an actor? And it was my decision to leave at the end of the first season. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't predicated on anything, any anger or any disconnect with the cast, or it was just simply a creative idea that, you know, I had gone to acting school. I was still taking, you know, I still had dreams of what I wanted to do as an actor. And so when nobody wanted me to go, but Gene, eventually I sat down with Gene, and Gene Roddenberry totally got where I was coming from. And he said, I don't want you to go, but I understand your desire. I once was a young, ambitious, hungry writer, and I get it. I would be lying to you if I told you it was going to change, that it was going to get any better. So I'm gonna let. Okay, he was the only one that could have let me go. You know, I had a contract, and so he said, "What I'd like to do though is have this character die. That it would." He goes, "That kind of breaks my heart because then you won't be able to come back." Well, that didn't pan out. But you know, he said, "But I think it'll be so strong of a send-off." And because I've never done that before. And I said, okay, great. And that's how then Skin of Evil was written shortly after that. Yeah, because they didn't, you know. As a matter of fact, truth be told, what was going to happen was they were going to let Marina go at the end of the first season. And they let Gates go. Mm-hmm. So I essentially was going to be the only one. And then I left. And then they were like, oh God, okay, now what do we do? So it changed. And that's from Marina telling me. I did not know that. So life is strange, isn't it?
It is.
But it all kind of, I mean, then yesterday's Enterprise was written, which to me is one of the great episodes of Next Gen, right? And that opened the door for all kinds of possibilities of Sela and everything. And Sela's still ghost. Sela's still out there. She's the Empress of Romulus. Yes?
So along those same lines, did they come to you to reprise for yesterday's Enterprise and Sela? Were you excited to come back? I mean, Sela and in yesterday's Enterprise, Tasha had much more dialogue. They were much more involved than, like you were saying, Tasha was portrayed in the first season. So was that your decision? Were you really excited to come back and do that? Or?
I was. I mean, when I got a call that there was a script written called Yesterday's Enterprise, and which allowed Tasha was alive again, I went, ooh, it's not going to be one of those, it was a dream in the shower sequences. And they said, no. I'm send you, this was Rick Berman, the exec producer. He said, I'm going to send you the script, and I think you're going to love it. And he was right. When I read it, I went, oh my God, this is great. And I couldn't wait to get back on, for a number of reasons, First of all, the script was so good. But I had not had the chance to work with Whoopi. And, she came in after. And then Christopher McDonald, who played Lieutenant Castillo on that. He and I, oh my God, it was such good chemistry. We laughed so much that, they had to almost, separate us. Like when you're in elementary school. Because we ended up laughing and wrecking, takes, with that we weren't even in. We were in the background. I'll tell you one exactly. So Patrick has this big, long monologue with the captain of the Enterprise C. And they're discussing, and I mean, it's it's a page of dialogue. And it's all very technical. And Patrick's a Shakespearean serious actor, and he's in the foreground of the shot, and it's on him. And Chris and I are laying in the back of the ship, working on the panels, we're fixing something. So Patrick's doing his speech. And it's one of those things, please don't look at me, please don't look at me. And I catch his eye, and I just go, and then I fake a coughing fit. And Chris covers for me and goes, oh God, I'm so, can somebody get her some water? And I'm going, oh Patrick, I'm so sorry. He goes, oh, what, are you okay? And I said, fake this total cough and, meantime, peeing my uniform in laughter. And it was bad. And so Chris and I subsequently played husband and wife in a movie, an indie film called Divorce, a contemporary Western. And we then, I did a guest shot on one of his series he did for CBS. He was playing a lawyer on a CBS series. That's not fake. Sorry. So, yeah, we had a great time with that. But I think I veered off with your question. You were asking about...
Just if it was your idea to come back, and then how excited you were to come back both for yesterday's Enterprise and later in Redemption, or whichever one it is with Sela.
Right, so I loved coming back, as I said. And yesterday's Enterprise opened the door for me thinking about Sela, and I'm the one who came up with the idea of Sela. Because what my original idea was that Yar, and Sela would be Yar and Castillo's child. So that's the idea I pitched, that when the both of them went back on the Enterprise C to fight the Romulan battle, the Romulans, captured the ship. Everyone was killed. They kept Tasha Yar alive, though, because she was pregnant. And they wanted to raise a human baby to use as a chip, like a bartering chip with the Federation. And do you remember the film Dances with Wolves?
Yeah.
So that had just been out. So remember Mary McDonnell's character was basically raised Native American. So she thought and acted Native American, but she was in fact not. So that was my idea, that this human baby would grow up Romulan. Think like a Romulan, act like a Romulan, be a Romulan, and in fact not be at all. And her dilemma, the story arc would be that she would eventually find out about her mother and be maybe perhaps a bridge to peace with the Romulans. So that's what I pitched to Rick Berman. And he kind of went, interesting. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. So I thought, okay, well, you know, typical Hollywood. You never hear from him again. And then he called me up like months later and he said, you know, we're going to go with that idea, but we're going to change it a little bit. So that Tasha was, you know, captured by a Romulan general and has a child. So the child is half Romulan, and you're going to play that daughter. So you're going to play your own daughter. I thought, wow, cool. I'm maybe the only actress that can say I played my own daughter. And actually, if you count the fan film I did, you know, James Crawley's fan film stuff, I played Yar's grandmother.
The whole lineage.
I'm just gonna keep going, you know? Weird.
You also voice acted for the characters too in Star Trek Online, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yar was back a little bit, and yeah, Sela is, you know, running the universe out there. Yes.
Well, changing gears just a little bit, how fun was it to play someone that was pretty evil and a little crazy on Walking Dead?
She wasn't really evil. She was trying to survive.
Yeah.
It was a really great, fun show to work on. You know, in all honesty, I had never seen an episode of The Walking Dead when I got the part. And talk about secretive. They gave me a scene to do as an audition that was written specifically for me to do. It had absolutely nothing to do with The Walking Dead. It was about a woman who goes in to buy a modified car for her recently, her husband has recently been in a car accident, so she needs a van that's modified. And she goes to a mutual family friend to buy this, to get a deal. And the guy goes, you know, Sandy, I really wish I could help you, man, but this is the best I can do. This is the best price I've got. And she goes, well, you know, Bob, I don't know. I know you guys have a couple numbers. You know, you got the public numbers and you've got the, you know, other numbers. And I'd really like you to do a little bit better. She goes, Sandy, you know, I love you and I would do anything for you guys. And that's the best I got. That's the best I can get. And she says, well, Bob, maybe your wife, Linda, would like me to tell her about that little outing I saw you do last weekend with, you know, Catherine. Caught you at the Motel 6 last weekend. Want me to go there? He goes, I'll be right back. This was my audition. And so, okay, so I get the job. So I go to Atlanta, and I still don't know anything. One thing they say is, would you want to wear a wig? I said, sure, yeah. So I go and get a wig fitting out in Los Angeles in the Valley, and they ship the wig to Atlanta, and they okay it. So I arrive in Atlanta. I still haven't seen a script. I don't know what this role is. So it's like the day before I begin shooting, the show producer, Scott Gimple, I said to him, I think you and I should talk. What is this thing called Terminus? What are we doing? So he kind of filled me in, but they are very, very, very secretive because They need to be. All these leaks. I mean, when you go to the set in Atlanta, well, they're shooting in Terminus happened to actually be in Atlanta. They have studios in Sonoya, outside of Atlanta. Fans are lining up on the highway because they know, The Walking Dead is there filming, and they're looking to see who's being transported to the set, because then they go, well, wait a minute, Maggie is coming with Carol and Daryl, so that means Maggie, Carol, and Daryl are working, so that must mean this is going on, and they go on the internet. And so when I was being transported in the van from the set of Terminus to where they made lunch, I was with Melissa McBride, and she's pushing my head down in the van, and putting a tarp over me, and she goes, duck, there's fans, and I'm like this in the car. I'm going, are you kidding me? She goes, you have to do it, we can't be seen. I go, wow, man, this is intense. This is crazy. But all really good people. Lovely, lovely good people. They just sent me, very generous, they just sent me some stuff. My son, like I told you, he's a baseball player, so his team has an annual dinner, like a silent auction, so they sent me a bunch of stuff so I could put in the silent auction. And of course it's sold, There's this one kid on his team that's a huge Walking Dead fan, so he gets his dad to buy everything. All good people. Andrew Lincoln, it starts, I always say it starts at the top, what's the old saying, the fish, what is it? Fish stinks from the head down or something. Yeah, some weird thing like that. Not that I'm calling Andrew Lincoln a dead fish, but he's so lovely. He is just such a class act guy that, it sets the tone. It just sets the tone. Nobody, as a matter of fact, when I got there, they said, this is what we call a no asshole zone. You can't be a jerk and be on The Walking Dead. No, not allowed. Yes?
So Patrick Stewart is doing Blunt Talk, which is a completely different from anything he's done before. What would you like to do? Is there anything that you would like to do that's completely different from what you've done in the past?
Wow. I would like to do some comedy. Just some just crazy kind of, I don't know, kind of like The Office or something like that. Like a kind of a modern comedy. I've done comedy, but people, you get sort of, pigeonholed and stuff, but I've worked with John Ritter a couple times and Blake Edwards in some of his movies, and I really like to do some comedy, so I'm always looking for that. Probably somebody will just have to, get me, and they'll give it to me, like someone I know who's working on something, Yes.
I'm out of Kleenex, I apologize. Can you talk a little bit about unification and working with Leonard Nimoy?
Oh, Leonard. Oh, what a...
Sorry, I'm out of Kleenex.
The tissue. Don't make me cry again. No. Leonard was just such a lovely man, and what a blessing I was able to do that. That I never thought that would happen, And of course, I also got to sit with Leonard for my Trekkies documentary, and he was so generous with his time and open, and spent hours with us, and there was no questions barred, and he was just a lovely, intelligent, kind man, and what a iconic figure. I know when Brent and I were doing when we were working together on that episode with Leonard, we were pinching ourselves, going, "This is Spock. How cool is this?" So he was. I feel lucky, and as I was recently talking about